Drop the bag, now. The command cut through the night like a blade, loud, arrogant, and wrong. Two rookie cops, jittery hands on their triggers, cornered a woman whose only crime was carrying groceries home. They thought they were stopping a suspect. They were about to confront a legend, because what they didn't know was that the calm woman they aimed their guns at once trained men who never missed. And by the time the world found out who she really was, they'd wish they had listened before they pulled the trigger. This is Hidden Black Echoes, where the stories of struggles are told, the rise and the voice of those the world tried to silence. If you believe strength doesn't always shout, hit like and subscribe, because sometimes dignity walks quietly and still shakes the ground beneath arrogance. Hands where I can see them. The shout shattered the quiet night. The grocery bag hit the pavement, milk splattering across the curb, as two rookie cops advanced with flashlights drawn. Their cruiser lights painted the empty street in frantic red and blue. At the center of it all stood Dana Brooks, tall, composed, motionless. The wind tugged gently at the hem of her gray coat. "Ma'am," Officer Rick Daly barked again, his voice cracking with the kind of authority that was more nerves than power. "Hands up!" Dana raised her palms slowly, eyes calm. "Is there a problem, officer?" "You tell me," Daly snapped. "It's midnight and you're creeping around with a bag like you're casing houses." "I was walking home," she said quietly. "The store closed late." Officer Kyle Mercer, standing beside his partner, frowned. "Rick, maybe we should—" Daly shot him a look. "No, she's stalling." He stepped closer, his flashlight trembling slightly. "Let's see what's in the bag." Dana hesitated, her voice even. "Bread, eggs, milk? You can check if you like." Daly yanked it from her hands, spilling groceries across the hood of the car. Milk dripped onto the concrete. Mercer winced. "Come on, man." "Quiet," Daly hissed. "Something's off here." He turned back to her. "Why are you so calm, huh?" Normal people get nervous when police stop them. Dana studied him for a long second. "Experience." "Experience?" Daly sneered. "You been arrested before?" "No." She tilted her head slightly. "Just used to people who mistake control for guilt." The tone, firm, unflinching, hit him harder than she intended. His jaw clenched. "Watch yourself." "I am," she said simply. For a moment, neither moved. The only sound was the hum of the cruiser's engine and the faraway bark of a dog. Daly's flashlight beam slid up to her face. "You hiding something under that coat?" "Groceries," she repeated. He took a step closer, hand now brushing his holster. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's dangerous," Dana replied. Her words landed like a slap, not loud, just true. Mercer shifted awkwardly. "Rick, she's not resisting." "Let's just—" "I said quiet," Daly barked. "Ma'am, turn around." Hands on the hood. The crowd had begun to form, neighbors with cell phones recording silently. Dana didn't argue. She turned slowly, placed her palms on the car. Her voice came steady, quiet, controlled. "You're making a mistake." Daly snapped the cuffs on too tight. "Yeah? We'll see." As the metal locked, she flinched only slightly. Her eyes lifted toward the reflection in the cruiser window. Not angry, not afraid. Just tired. When Daly guided her toward the back seat, she said calmly, "You shouldn't keep your finger that tight on the trigger, officer." He blinked. "Excuse me?" "Your index finger," she said without looking at him. You're tense. That's how accidents happen. Daly froze for half a second, thrown off balance by the precision of her words. How would you know that? He demanded. She finally met his eyes. Because I've seen what happens when people don't listen. Before he could respond, she stepped into the car on her own. No struggle, no defiance, just eerie composure. Mercer lingered, lowering his voice. Rick, something about her doesn't add up. She moves like... Like what? Daly snapped. Mercer hesitated. Like she's been trained. Daly slammed the door shut. Yeah? Trained for what? Grocery shopping? Dana's face reflected faintly in the cruiser glass as they drove. Her expression never changed, quiet, unbothered. The chaos outside didn't touch her. Daly gripped the steering wheel too hard. People think they can talk their way out of anything, he muttered. Not tonight. From the back seat came her calm reply. I'm not talking my way out. I'm watching you talk your way in. Mercer looked over his shoulder. What's that supposed to mean? She didn't answer, just turned her gaze to the window, to the small crowd fading in the distance, phones still recording. By the time they reached the station, the video would already be spreading online. A few hours later, the internet would explode with a single caption beneath the shaky footage. 2 rookies arrest calm black woman for walking home. Wait till you hear what she says. It would hit every feed, every news thread, every comment section. But for now, in the silence of the patrol car, only one question lingered in Daly's mind, though he'd never admit it out loud. Why wasn't she afraid? By sunrise, the video had already reached 5 million views. A shaky phone recording, the kind that started with confusion and ended with outrage, flooded every platform. The caption read, "Unarmed black woman arrested for carrying groceries. Watch her calm them down." Clips played on loop, Dana's stillness, the officer's harsh tone, the way she warned, "You're making a mistake." People were dissecting every second. At the downtown police department, chaos brewed. Captain Laura Mills stood in her office, arms folded tight as she replayed the footage on mute. 2 uniformed rookies, Rick Daly and Kyle Mercer, sat across from her, pale and sweating. When she finally turned off the monitor, the silence was suffocating. "Walk me through this," Mills said flatly. Daly swallowed hard. "We spotted her walking near Maple Avenue." She looked suspicious, wouldn't give us a straight answer. Mills' brow arched. "Suspicious?" She was holding a bag of bread. Daly stammered. "It was late." She was too calm. I thought, "You thought calm was a threat?" His mouth opened, but no words came. Mills leaned forward. "Do you 2 have any idea what you've done? That video has half the city calling for your suspension." Mercer's voice was quiet. "Ma'am, we didn't hurt her. We followed protocol." "Protocol?" Mills snapped. "Since when does protocol mean escalating a non-incident until someone's in cuffs?" Daly flinched but muttered. She had this presence, like she knew more than she was letting on. Mills slammed her pen onto the desk. "Presence? You cuffed a woman for presence?" He stayed silent. Mills took a deep breath. "She's filing no complaint, which is the only reason you're not both suspended yet." That caught them off guard. Mercer blinked. "Wait, she's not pressing charges?" "No," Mills said. "She came in this morning." Gave a written statement. Polite, precise, didn't ask for an apology. Daly frowned. "Then why's this blowing up?" Mills turned the monitor back on and hit play. Dana's calm voice filled the room. "You're going to regret this." She froze the frame right on her face, the quiet authority, the stillness in her eyes. Mills pointed at it. "That's why. Because the public doesn't think she's just some random woman. They think she's somebody, and no one can figure out who." Mercer shifted in his seat. "Maybe she's ex-military?" She moved like she'd been trained. Mills's gaze sharpened. "You noticed that too?" Mercer nodded. "Yeah, even cuffed, she kept her balance, like she'd done drills before." Daly muttered, "Or she's just one of those people who watches too many movies." Mills ignored him. "What's her name again?" "Brooks." Dana Brooks. The captain typed it into the database. For a moment, nothing appeared. Then, access restricted. Clearance level 3 required. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Well, that's interesting." Daly frowned. "What does that mean?" "Means she's not just anybody," Mills said. "I'll find out." She dismissed them with a tight gesture. "You're both on desk duty until further notice. No patrols, no statements, no interviews. Understood?" "Yes, ma'am," they said together, voices small. As they left the office, Mercer whispered, "She's gonna bury us." Daly rubbed his forehead. "Or she's just enjoying the attention." Mercer shook his head. "You didn't see her face, man." She wasn't enjoying anything. She looked disappointed. Daly didn't respond. Outside, the precinct's hallway buzzed with gossip. Officers scrolled through the viral video on their phones. Someone muttered, "They really cuffed her for walking?" Another replied, "She didn't even blink when they yelled at her." That's not normal. Through it all, Dana's name spread like wildfire. No one knew her. Everyone wanted to. That evening, Captain Mills sat alone in her office, digging deeper. Every attempt to open Dana Brooks's background led to another access block. Military clearance, classified assignments, references to something labeled Project Nightfall. Her expression hardened. "What are you hiding, Ms. Brooks?" Across town, Dana sat quietly in her apartment, the soft hum of the TV playing muted news coverage of her own arrest. She sipped tea, face unreadable. The anchor's voice crackled faintly. "The woman seen in the viral grocery arrest video has not spoken publicly. Sources say she declined legal representation. The internet has dubbed her the woman who didn't flinch." Dana set the cup down and turned off the television. Her phone buzzed. A text flashed across the screen. "Mills. Need to talk. Confidential. Tomorrow 0900. She looked at it for a moment, then typed one short reply. "Brooks." Understood. She placed the phone face down, leaned back, and exhaled slowly. Outside, sirens echoed faintly through the night, but her apartment stayed perfectly still. And for the second time in 48 hours, Dana Brooks said nothing. Because sometimes silence wasn't fear. It was strategy. Captain Laura Mills leaned over her computer screen, the pale glow reflecting in her eyes. The database blinked again. Access restricted, followed by a code she hadn't seen since her early days in federal service. It wasn't a normal personnel block. This was military clearance level. She sat back slowly. "Dana Brooks," she murmured. "Who on earth are you?" Her office door creaked open. Lieutenant Garner peeked in. "Captain, Internal Affairs wants an update on the grocery arrest." Mills waved him off. Tell them I'm still gathering facts. Garner hesitated. That woman's making a lot of noise online. City Hall's asking questions. Then they can wait for answers, Mills said sharply. When he left, she returned to her screen and began calling in old favors. 3 phone calls, 2 dead ends, and 1 hesitant response from a contact in D.C. A gravelly voice came through the speaker. You didn't hear this from me, Laura. But the name Dana Brooks rings bells. Big ones. Mills leaned in. Former law enforcement? A pause. No, former Navy. Special operations. Highly classified. You're not supposed to even have her name. Mills's throat went dry. Special operations? You mean... I mean, she's the kind of person who trained people you read about in headlines. Walk away from this one, Captain. Some files are sealed for a reason. The call disconnected. Mills sat there in silence, the hum of the office suddenly loud. Then she opened her drawer, pulled out the rookie's reports, and read them again. The inconsistencies, the shaky justifications. Her expression hardened. If what that contact said was true, they hadn't just arrested an innocent woman, they'd cuffed a decorated Navy SEAL. If this moment interests you, take a second to like this video and subscribe for more stories where hearts change faster than fortunes ever could. Your support helps us keep sharing voices that deserve to be heard. Later that afternoon, Mills called Rick Daly and Kyle Mercer back into her office. Both looked worse than before. Dark circles, exhaustion, guilt creeping into their posture. Sit, she ordered. They obeyed instantly. She tossed a folder onto the desk. You two have any idea what you've done? Daly swallowed. Ma'am, we already... Shut up, Mills said. Her tone wasn't angry this time. It was cold. She flipped the folder open and slid it toward them. A single photo. Dana in uniform. No smile, no makeup, no nonsense. Just a pair of calm eyes that looked straight through the lens. Mercer leaned forward. That's her... His voice cracked. That's Dana Brooks? Mills nodded. Sergeant Dana Brooks. 15 years in the Navy. Classified record. Highest combat clearance. She's not just trained, Officer Mercer. She was the training. Daly's face drained of color. You're saying she's... A SEAL, Mills finished. One of the few women ever to make it through the program. She's been through missions we don't even have names for, and you two geniuses decided to arrest her over a grocery bag. Silence hung thick in the air. Mercer whispered. Oh my God! Mills slammed her hand on the desk. Do you realize how bad this could have gone? If she wanted to, she could have taken both your weapons and made you part of a cautionary tale. Daly looked down at his hands. Why didn't she fight back? Mills studied him. Because she didn't need to. She spent her whole life fighting battles she didn't start. She probably decided you weren't worth adding to the list. Daly tried to speak again, but his throat tightened. What happens now? That's the interesting part, Mills said. She requested no disciplinary action. No press, no lawsuit. Mercer frowned. She's not doing anything. Oh, she's doing something, Mills said quietly. She's waiting. Across town, in a quiet cafe, Dana sat alone by the window, nursing a cup of black coffee. She wore no uniform now, just a faded sweatshirt and stillness that made her blend into the background. A familiar voice broke her peace. You've caused quite the storm, Sergeant. Dana looked up. Mills stood there, trench coat draped over her arm. I thought you'd find me eventually, Dana said softly. Mills sat across from her. You could have gone public. You'd have the whole country behind you. Dana stirred her coffee. That's not why I left the service? Or why I stayed quiet? Mills leaned forward. Then why? Dana looked out the window. Because if people don't learn to respect power, they'll just fear it. Fear doesn't change anything. Mills nodded slowly. So what do you want, Sergeant? Dana turned her eyes back to her, sharp, steady. I want your rookies. Mills blinked. You want them what? I want them in a room, Dana said, unarmed, no badge, just a mat and a lesson. Mills studied her carefully. You're not looking for revenge. Dana's lips curved into a faint, almost sad smile. If I wanted revenge, Captain, you'd already know it. Mills exhaled. All right, I'll set it up. Dana nodded, finishing her coffee. Good. Because those boys don't need punishment. She stood, straightening her coat. They need discipline. And as she left the cafe, the bell above the door jingled softly, a quiet sound that somehow carried the weight of a storm that was only just beginning. The training hall behind the precinct smelled of sweat, dust, and tension. A blue mat stretched across the floor. 2 rookies stood at one end, uniforms off, t-shirts on, and at the other stood Dana Brooks, calm, expression unreadable. Captain Mills stood near the doorway, arms crossed. You'll do exactly what she says, she told them. No weapons, no excuses. Daly forced a smirk. We're not kids, Captain. Then stop acting like it, Mills shot back. She volunteered to train you. Consider it a second chance. Dana's voice was level, almost gentle. You both ready? Mercer nodded quickly. Daly just muttered, Sure. Good, Dana said. Let's start simple. Imagine I'm a civilian during a stop. You'll act, I'll react. Don't overthink it. Daly rolled his shoulders. All right. He stepped forward, hands raised. Ma'am, step away from the... In one breath, Dana moved. A blur of motion, a pivot, a grip, a controlled redirect. And suddenly Daly's arm was twisted behind his back, his balance stolen, his body lowered to one knee before he knew it. He blinked, stunned. What the... Reaction time, Dana said, releasing him. Yours was half a second too slow. That's how people die in real situations. Mercer exhaled, wide-eyed. That was fast. Dana turned to him. Your turn. He hesitated, then approached more cautiously. Ma'am, please step back. Dana shifted her weight, nothing dramatic, and somehow he found himself staring up from the mat. She crouched beside him. Fear clouds decision-making. You can't protect anyone if you're chasing your panic. He nodded weakly. Yes, ma'am? Daly, rubbing his shoulder, tried to regain confidence. Okay. Impressive. You boxed or something? Dana's lips twitched, almost a smile. Something like that. They reset. She stood between them now. This time, both of you. Work together. Try to stop me from reaching the door. Daly exchanged a look with Mercer. Together? You sure? Please, Dana said simply. They moved, fast, coordinated. Mercer lunged left, Daly right. For a heartbeat, they almost cornered her. Then she flowed between them, a sweep, a pivot, a turn, both men flat on the mat before either could blink. The hall went silent, except for their gasps. Daly stared up at the ceiling. That's not self-defense training. That's military. Dana stepped back, folding her arms. Lesson 3. When you underestimate someone, you lose before you start. Mills watched quietly from the doorway, arms crossed, a faint smile tugging her lips. Daly sat up, still breathing hard. "Who are you?" Dana didn't answer. She just looked at Mills. "Captain," she said, "you tell them." Mills stepped forward, her tone cool but proud. "Gentlemen, meet Sergeant Dana Brooks, 15 years Navy, Special Operations Unit. The woman you arrested last week could have dismantled both of you in under 5 seconds. But she didn't." Daly froze. Mercer's mouth fell open. Mills continued, "She didn't humiliate you that night. She chose restraint. Maybe now you understand why." Dana looked between them. "You thought control was about power. It's not. It's about peace. The kind that comes from knowing you don't have to prove yourself." She walked past them toward the exit. "Tomorrow, same time. Bring less pride." The door clicked shut behind her. Daly sat motionless, staring after her. She was a SEAL? Mills nodded. "One of the best." Mercer let out a shaky laugh. "Man, we yelled at a Navy SEAL." Daly rubbed his face. "No, we arrested one." Mills sighed. "Then you're lucky she's not the type to hold a grudge. Learn from her, before life teaches you the hard way." As they gathered themselves off the mat, neither spoke again. For the first time, fear didn't drive them. Respect did. 2 weeks later, the sun dipped low over the Southside Community Center, bathing the courtyard in soft gold. A modest banner flapped gently above the entrance. Community Heroes Forum, building trust between officers and citizens. Inside, the room buzzed with energy, local reporters, families, and uniformed officers mingling among rows of folding chairs. But at the center of the stage, calm and unassuming as ever, stood Dana Brooks. She wasn't wearing her Navy ribbons or her commendation medals, just a simple black blazer, her posture straight, her expression as steady as the day they met her. Beside her, Captain Mills adjusted the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "sometimes leadership isn't about commanding respect. It's about earning it. Tonight we honor someone who did both." She turned toward Dana. "Sergeant Dana Brooks, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, decorated veteran, and now the quiet force behind this city's effort to rebuild trust." Applause rippled through the hall. Dana waited for it to fade before stepping forward. Her voice, when it came, was calm but firm. "Thank you. I never planned to stand on a stage again. I thought I'd left this kind of thing behind." She paused. "But then, life has a funny way of reminding you that service doesn't end when the uniform comes off." She glanced towards the front row, where Rick Daly and Kyle Mercer sat in full uniform, hands folded tightly in their laps. 2 weeks ago," she continued, "I met 2 officers who made a mistake, a very public one. They didn't see me for who I was. They saw what they feared. But what mattered wasn't what they did that night. It was what they did after." Daly looked down, his throat tight. Dana's tone softened. "When I joined the Navy, one of my instructors told me something I never forgot. Fear makes the trigger heavier. I didn't understand it back then, but now I do. Fear doesn't just make your hands shake. It makes your mind close." She looked out over the audience. "And when fear leads, people get hurt." The crowd listened in complete silence. "But here's what I also learned," Dana went on. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's learning to breathe through it, to pause when your instinct says attack, to look before you leap, to choose restraint over reaction." She took a slow breath, her gaze finding Daly and Mercer again. These 2 men chose to learn that. They came to training every day, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They asked questions. They listened. And most importantly, they changed. A ripple of emotion moved through the room. Dana smiled faintly. That's why I agreed to stand here tonight. Not to talk about what went wrong, but what went right after. Applause rose again, but she raised a hand gently, silencing it. I don't need a medal or applause. The only victory I want is seeing 2 officers who now understand that strength isn't loud. It's steady. She stepped back slightly. And to prove it, I think they have something they want to say. All eyes turned to Daly and Mercer. Daly swallowed hard and stood, the mic trembling slightly in his grip. I've made mistakes before, he began, but none that taught me this much. The night I arrested Ms. Brooks, I thought I was protecting the law. Turns out she was protecting me, from what I didn't know. A quiet murmur spread through the room. Daly looked at Dana. You could have ruined us. You didn't. Instead, you taught us how to breathe when fear takes over. You showed us what real control looks like. He paused, voice thick. For that, I'll spend the rest of my career trying to be worthy of the uniform I wear. Mercer rose beside him. Same here, ma'am. I don't think I'll ever forget the lesson you gave us that first day of training. Dana tilted her head. Which one was that? He smiled faintly. That control doesn't mean power. It means peace. The audience applauded again, louder this time, genuine and proud. Mills stepped forward, placing a hand on Dana's shoulder. For exceptional contribution to community training and law enforcement reform, we present Sergeant Dana Brooks with the city's Civil Service Medal. Dana accepted the small plaque quietly, eyes glinting under the soft lights. Thank you, Captain. But if I've done anything worth remembering, it's only because people decided to listen. She turned back to the crowd. We talk a lot about power, but real power isn't about forcing someone to see your strength. It's about giving them the space to find theirs. That's how peace starts. One choice, one pause, one breath at a time. The room rose to its feet, a wave of applause filling the hall. Dana didn't bask in it. She simply nodded, calm and grounded, letting the noise roll past like distant thunder. Outside, the evening air was cool and quiet. Dana stepped into it, medal in hand, eyes on the horizon. Daly and Mercer joined her, standing silently for a moment. Daly spoke first. You ever miss it? The uniform? Dana smiled faintly. Sometimes. But I wear something better now. What's that? Mercer asked. Peace, she said simply. They stood there together as the lights of the city blinked on around them. For the first time since that night, no one said a word. They didn't need to. The silence spoke for them, calm, steady, and stronger than any command ever could. If stories like this remind you that real worth isn't defined by titles, uniforms, or status, but by character, courage, and quiet truth, hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next story, where judgment turns into respect and dignity finally takes its rightful place.